Philip, roll call.
Here.
Molly?
Yes. Here.
Doug?
Yes, sir.
Brian?
Here.
I am present. Ray Walden?
Here.
Mary Apple?
Here.
William KMC?
Present.
Keith Steelman?
Present.
Brian John?
Here.
Jack Emery?
Here.
Gary Glenn? I think Greg Nash had a family situation and Jared Brown is having Cinco de Mayo or something like that. Okay, well, most of everyone is here. Is there any persons to be heard on the agenda, Mary?
No.
Okay. I suppose at this time we can entertain bids.
Mayor and members of the Board of Aldermen have a summary of bids we received after putting out for bids again. And on the cemetery, staff recommendation would be to go with the lowest bid, number 2 there, for $14,294.63. And then on the Parks and Rec, for that mower, lowest bid, number 1 for $12,155. And you have a copy of the accompanying budget adjustment to cover that expense. And then coordinating with the water department on in situ form. We believe the amount left after this adjustment would give us adequate funds to do projects through June, and then we would budget as we can to do more for next year.
Make a motion to accept staff's recommendation for bid number 2 for the cemetery mower, as well as bid number 1 for the park mower as presented. Second.
Is there any discussion?
Can I include in my motion the budget adjustment as well?
If you'd like to make that part of that to your second, assuming your second will include it.
I would like to make that part of the motion originally, the budget adjustment that's been presented.
Yes, I'll second that. I would like to ask, just for informational purposes, where it says did not meet specs of a non-sub compact, what exactly does that mean?
Greg's not here tonight, but Bobby Travers is from the cemetery, and in the spec that we advertised when we took away the quota-specific language and broadened it, that was part of the spec that we included, that it not be a compact, tractor, and so we specified non-subcompact, and some of what they bid were compact tractors.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I would like to ask, on the bid number 2 on the mower for the park, and bid number 2 for the cemetery, it says price includes shipping and setup. I assume the shipping, bid number 2 is the one we're going to take for the cemetery, but for the park, I assume the shipping and setup on bid number 2 wouldn't make bid number 1 more expensive. Does that make sense?
I believe that's included. Do you have those bids with you, Mary, or?
Yeah, I think the new ones, I don't think I have the old ones.
Well, the big question too is the recommendation is more than 5% as allowed by the policy.
Correct.
So is there a variance in that cost, I think is what Molly's wanting to address, the 12,155 and bid number 1. I don't know what it is, but something.
I didn't bring them up ones with me.
I mean, I can't imagine shipping and setup is $2,000, but we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot by a huge shipping and setup charge.
Right.
Right.
Where's it coming from?
Still will.
Uh,
I can say my guess is that if Ray called and say you got the bidder to deliver it and set it up, I think we'd probably be all right.
Yeah. Well, I guess my big question would be probably the same as yours, is the spec the same? Because while it doesn't have a note that the specs were not met, it looks to be that the price is quite a significant difference. And we don't know why.
It was not.
Why?
It was not.
Okay.
It's not.
Some of the service we did. By doing that? I mean, is there some other service we're getting with that price?
On which,
On bid number 2, I'm sorry, for the mower, it's the second page, the longer one,
for the park?
The park mower.
the park mower, yes.
I don't believe there's anything included in there that's not included in the first bid. I think the price was just high.
Okay. It just says in parentheses, the price includes shipping and setup. I just, you know,
Right, we'll include that reference. I'm confident it's included, but we shouldn't reference it all the same. And that point's well taken.
Not on this drive, but we should make.
Is there any further discussion or questions? If not, we will call for a vote. Philip,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Molly,
yes.
Doug,
Yes.
motion approved. The next thing is the consent agenda. I'm not exactly sure what all you do on this. You don't go through all the minutes, do you? You just ask for comments on past agenda. Does anyone have anything to offer on the past agenda, comments of any kind?
Make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second?
Any discussion? Discussion, we'll call for a vote. Ryan,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Work reports, do any of the department heads have anything to comment on? Anyone have anything to say about this? Okay, at this time, if we could have the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen. One thing I might point out on the consent agenda, a new addition this time was a report from our city clerk. And with any of these reports, if there's other information you would like to see, or if we can reformat this to where it's more efficient or effective for you, just let us know, and I'll be glad to work with staff towards that end. Last Thursday, May 1st, myself and representatives from the county and Salem Area Community Betterment Association and the Chamber of Commerce met with Mr. Dan Blank and others from U.S. Foods at their location, and had a very cordial meeting, just following up, with the merger announcement of Cisco, and just to reinforce the community's support for what they're doing there, and to see if there might be opportunities, ways we could help serve them. And the meeting was very open, and transportation remains an important issue for them. We're aware, with given our distance off the interstate, anything we can do on our roads coming in or out of Salem would benefit them. The merger is still pending. Approval would happen the third quarter of this year, and so I'm sure Cisco's looking at which warehouses are utilizing to serve different markets, and so that will be part of what they do as they look at, the markets that we're currently serving out of Salem after the merger. They'll be reviewing that because they'll have together more warehouses that they could use to serve those markets. And so we'll work with our local legislators to try to reinforce the importance of 32 and our other roads in this area that could benefit not just U.S. Foods, but our mining and timber industries, school safety, just the general public and traveling. And so we'll share more about that if we have any kind of coordinated effort in that regard. This past weekend was our citywide yard sale, and the weather cooperated better this year than it has in recent years. And from hot driving I did around town, it seemed like that was well attended, and appreciate the weather cooperating this year. I'm not sure who's taking credit for that. But then this coming Wednesday, myself, Water Superintendent Jack Emery, and possibly Mayor June, and Representative of Archer Engineering Jeff Meadows will be going to Jeff City to meet with DNR to clarify our sewer treatment permit and the new guidelines that are being pushed by EPA to discuss the timeline of when we'll need to meet those requirements. And then once that's better defined, we'll be coming back with some engineering to see what our options could be to meet those guidelines. And it's not a matter of if, but when we'll have to comply. But we'll negotiate for as much time as we can to reasonably accomplish that. And we'll have to look at our sewer rates and so forth, and along with our capital improvement sales tax projects and possibly other sources of funding, depending upon what the cost of that project might be to meet those requirements. And then this coming Tuesday, May 13th, we'll be sharing with the Chamber a monthly membership program, just an update from the city, and we'll invite anybody that wants to attend to that. That's at noon at SVU. And just call or email the chamber office to RSVP on that. That's all I have, Mayor. Quick add-on with the budget. We're in the process of getting firmer estimates for potential projects for next year. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be reviewing or developing some revenue estimates for next year. And then I fully expect us to be on schedule to share with the Finance Committee and you all those budget proposals, and then we'll have ample time to review and discuss that to get it where we want it to be before you approve it for next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you, Ray. As far as my report goes, much of many of the meetings that Ray has discussed, I have been a part of. We did have a meeting with Jeff Meadows with Archer Engineering about the MacArthur Street and J Highway and the water utility situation, and they met with the contractor, and I think everything's pretty much lined out on that. Any holidays or parades that would be affected are going to try to be addressed. As far as we know, there will not be any major shutdown of MacArthur Street, maybe one block at a time. And Jack and with the water department, they have their ducks in a row as far as utilities crossing that highway, and apparently everything's in good shape in order with that. I also met with Jeff with the engineering this morning, actually, about the water treatment plant, and there are a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pike as far as dissolved oxygen content and organic matter and all kinds of heavy metal problems, and there are several issues that will have to be addressed with actually factories in our town and fertilizer runoff, and there's a lot of parameters that need to be considered, but actually none of this is urgent, but it all needs to be planned for. The expense of this project will be astronomical, but it's something if we budget and save for, I think we'll be in pretty good shape in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Part of it doesn't need to be done for 10 years. Probably the earliest date on some would be 2 years, but I'd say we could have extensions up to 5 years. So it is a very important issue, but it's something that I think that we have time to think about and budget for. I've spent a bit of time visiting with the various department heads and trying to get good rapport with them and making sure everybody's doing the work and getting the jobs done. I think it is very important that we are community-minded and citizen-minded. I think that our departments need to address the needs of our citizens here and be as compatible and compliant with meeting their needs as we possibly can. In fact, we had an issue today about some limbs and trash and stuff, and I think it didn't get picked up because it was not placed in proper receptacles, and I think that probably the people moved in there that do not know what they need to do as far as getting clear plastic bags to put that stuff in, but they are new residents, and I suggested to Ray that anytime we have a utility change that we should probably send a letter or a packet, a welcome packet to the people and give them information on trash and limbs and pickup and what's actually required of them, so they'll know what to do. But anyway, it's been a fairly busy time the last week or so, but I think we're making progress, and I'm excited about Salem and getting some things going for our city. I think that one of the biggest problems I hear it every day, 5 times a day. People coming into my office that we need jobs. There's no question that jobs are very, very necessary in this town. And we're just, employment is difficult, and people are struggling. I talked to a lady today that's been out of work for 6 months, and she's applied 53 places. And so, I mean, I think that's paramount in what our objective should be, is try to get new industry, new jobs. It doesn't have to be factories that employ 1,000 people. I think it's necessary that we put our feet to the fire and try very diligently to try to bring industry into our area. Outside of that, I do not have anything else to report. If anyone has any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Well, this is for sewer and water. Where are we on getting that last one painted out, the clarifier?
The paint's been purchased, and it's just a matter of scheduling the work.
I talked to Lloyd this morning, and as soon as they get the building completed at my shop, they said they would be down there painting that.
Is this the second one or third one?
This will be the third one.
Okay.
If we got any bills,
A resolution, Mr. Mayor, and for the board's information, I've reviewed the contract with Premier Pyrotechnics and have approved same as to its form. I propose to read the resolution for the information.
I see nothing wrong with that contract. I was informed that there was dissatisfaction with various people involved with executing the fireworks. However, if we sign a contract with Premier, it'll be their responsibility to make sure that gets done.
That would be accurate.
So, I mean, even though there's some dissatisfaction, we don't have a dog in that fight. I mean, they need to fulfill their part of the contract, and I assume by agreement that they will do that.
If they don't, we have a contract to fall back on.
Right. Okay.
Resolution number 5-2014, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract between the city of Salem, Missouri and Premier Pyrotechnics, Inc. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of the city of Salem, Missouri, a contract between the city of Salem, Missouri and Premier Pyrotechnics, Inc. for the 4th of July fireworks display. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval, passed by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Salem, Missouri, and approved by the mayor this 5th day of May 2014.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 5, 2014.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, we will call for the vote. Bud?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Motion passed. The next order of business is committees. What I said at our last board meeting, that I wish that the clerk would send the aldermen all a copy of the people presently serving on the various boards. And should they have any recommendations to place anyone on the board, to bring them to the meeting tonight and submit their names, and I would consider making those appointments. However, there's been a couple of appointments made that were unauthorized and inappropriate. I was not aware of. I have not a specific problem with that, other than that's not the normal procedure. I think that the city clerk possibly misunderstood what I meant and probably contacted the aldermen and asked for their input.
Could you inform us what pertains to?
Well, one is on the Planning and Zoning Commission. There was a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and of course Mayor Brown went off as mayor, and Alderman Nash went off as alderman. I took Mayor Brown's place, and Molly took Kenny Nash's place. So that left the vacancy, and somehow, some way, Gary Brown got put on that committee. I don't have any problem with Gary Brown. I think he's very knowledgeable, and I'm sure would probably be an asset to the Planning and Zoning Commission. But one of my duties as mayor is to make those appointments. Those appointments are not made by the alderman. Those appointments are approved by the alderman, but I'm the one that makes them. So his name has appeared on this list of planning and zoning without authorization. Now, show you that I have good faith and confidence in the Board of Aldermen. If someone wants to appoint Mr. Brown as a committee member, I will entertain that. But I think it needs to be done in proper form and order.
He wasn't the only one on this list, though.
What?
He wasn't the only one on this list that was added just recently.
Who else?
Well, there was a Mr. Bailey.
Okay, he needs to be taken on.
That was a recommendation of the board. That was a recommendation of the board, which you asked for.
What? I asked the board to bring their recommendations to this meeting and suggest them.
Okay, that's where you misunderstood. I thought you wanted them
No.
all together, so all you had to do was present.
Okay. So anyone that's been added to that needs to be stricken. Who else is Mr. Bailey?
On the
Planning and zoning.
Community services.
community services.
Well, I haven't got to anyone else on planning and zoning other than Gary Brown.
Mike Thompson?
No. No. Well, he was on and went off, but yeah, I had not made that appointment either.
Board of Adjustments was Bob Parsons. He was on, and he told me to call the ones that were on, if they wanted to stay
Yeah.
on. He said that he would.
Yeah.
All the park and rec people, some of them are old, some of them are new, so.
I mean, but the people that need to be on there need to be appointed.
Correct.
Right.
Your appointment, they're your board, your committees, except for the airport board.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, the planning and zoning, there was 2 vacancies.
Mhm.
Mike Thompson and some lady that's left.
Right.
So there's 2 positions to fill. One, and I would appoint Mike Thompson to the board. If I don't have a problem with Gary Brown, if the alderman wants on there, if one of them want to make that suggestion, I will entertain it.
Well, with his 14 years of knowledge as mayor and being involved in planning and zoning, I would recommend you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, well, I will appoint Gary Brown to planning and zoning.
Are you gonna do them board by board, or are you gonna do one, you gonna do a vote for each, Mr. Mayor, or?
No, we'll just, when we get on, we'll
Okay.
vote. The other thing that is a little bit tweaked here on the finance committee, last year, there were 10 board members. Person going off was Clayton Lucas, and Ray Walden filled his place. I will take the place of Mayor Brown, and Molly Vettel will take the place of Kenneth Knight. However, on the finance committee now, I notice there are 11 positions. And that 11th position has been filled by Gary Brown.
Well, his name's just on here, it's not been appointed yet.
Well, okay, well, I mean, why did we decide we needed another board member on the finance committee?
I did converse with the aldermen, and 2 of them responded back that they thought he would be good on there.
Well, I'm not gonna make that appointment.
That's your
The 10 people that are strike Gary Brown from the finance committee, and then the other 10 on there. I think the Parks and Recreation, the people have been notified and are willing to serve.
Is Kim Shelton the only new one on that list?
Yes,
Okay, I thought so.
Was
2 went off.
Was
Yeah.
Kim Shelton nominated by the mayor?
No. the park-
She went off,
2 went off.
but she'll go back on.
The park board
She's not
recommended
one of
Kim.
them. Two of them did not want to one of them didn't come to meetings and the other one didn't have time.
Right.
Well, I would appoint Kim to that position. The utility committee, as it now stands, Gary Cummings does not want to serve, and there is presently a vacancy.
1 vacancy or 2?
There's 2.
One now.
Gary doesn't want to serve.
Wasn't Bob Jenkins on the utility committee at one time?
I don't remember.
No, we don't.
You have to be a resident of Salem to be on the committee.
It doesn't state that unless it states it in the state statutes, and I'm not sure on that. If it doesn't,
So they do not have to be a
It's been the policy to try and find city Senate residents, but it is not obligatory under the statute.
Is it permissible for a city employee to serve?
There's nothing prohibits it under employee policy, I'll tell you that.
A city employee can serve on the committee?
Correct.
Okay.
You talking about the city ordinance, state statute, or the employee handbook?
The employee handbook does not prohibit it. I mean, there's certainly nothing in the state statute prohibits it, but the employee handbook does not prohibit that. Now, like I say, it's, the nature of that employee, you don't want to appoint somebody who might have a conflict based upon what your committee is. If they're going to raise conflict, they're going to have to bow out of vote.
Well, I would, that being the case, since they're very familiar with it, I would entertain appointing Mr. Johns and Mr. Emmerich on the utility board. Fill those vacancies.
I think there's anything prohibited. Again, if there's something that comes up in a vote that's prohibited as far as conflict, they can always call and ask me about that. But
Yeah,
that would be the only.
a conflict of interest.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that's what I'd like to do there. The Community Service Committee, there is a vacancy there. Molly, you were pretty community minded, how would you like to say that?
I'll serve there.
Okay.
How often does it meet?
Once every fortnight.
Hasn't met very many times. Did you strike Chuck Bailey from there? Did you remove him? He was the new addition, I guess, that was on the list.
On the planning and zoning.
Community services. I'm
Not
assuming.
on mine.
I think he came in afterwards and I sent out an email with him.
Okay.
Alderman Fraser recommended him.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with him. I mean, that fills it. Mine has a vacancy there. But I mean, if
You should have a
Mr.
new
Bailey
one.
would like to
This is
serve,
the
I
new
don't.
one.
The new one's there in your binder, I think.
You don't have this new one.
It's right there on
Laid it over
S3.
on his desk.
It's great. It's the very, you got your hand on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he's at the top of the second page, I believe.
I don't have a problem. The airport boards is to be appointed by the Board of Aldermen. I have inquired into that. I can give you some names if you need names. If you have other people, that's
You have
fine.
some recommendations.
Well, Tim Fulton is one, and Josh Gidcombe, Greg Cat, and but they all have airplanes.
We have 2 vacancies, right?
Two.
Who was the first one?
Tim Fulton, or Josh Gidcombe, and Greg Cat.
Have you contacted them?
Greg's out of town a lot. I don't know if he would serve. I mean, he'd be a good one. if he
Any
would.
3 of those would be good.
Yeah.
I think Greg was on there, and just Jonathan. He was on it.
Devin Goad, and also Richard Frisbee. He lives at Lacona. Devin Goad lives out east of town. But they all have airplanes.
Why don't we give these names to our clerk, have her contact any and all of these to see if they're willing to serve. Is there a deadline on when these have to be appointed?
They stand as is until reappointed.
They what?
They stand as is, your committee stand as is until reappointed.
Now, as far as electing chairmen, I don't know how that works. I would suggest that when the committees meet, that they should select their own chairman.
Code says
But
on the Community Service and Utility Committee, you are to appoint the chairman, which is an alderman on that committee.
on which one?
On the ordinance of the Community Services and the Utility,
Molly, you want the utility chairman?
sure.
And Bud, what about community service? Okay.
And also, Mr. Mayor, on the planning and zoning, I had Chair come in the office this afternoon, and they've had 2 aldermen on there. The ordinance only calls for 1 alderman on their board, and he would like to go to 1 alderman on the board instead of the 2 we had prior.
This is which board?
Planning and zoning.
Okay.
Now, who's the chairman?
Jerry Craig.
Well,
He said
does that have anything to do with ordinances? Or,
the ordinance says 1 member of the board on there, but they kept 2 because Alderman Nash wanted to be on there too, so they kept him on there. But he said he would like to go back to what the ordinance says and only have 1 alderman on the board. According to the ordinance.
well, that, I suppose you'll allow that for the time being, if that's what the ordinance says. That would leave a vacancy there. And, for the board of commission, I'll leave that vacant until,
I don't think you have a vacancy. I think that it's,
I
I don't think you have a vacancy on the board with that.
think we would, if we eliminated all of them.
Well, there's already 2. There's 2 listed here in your new sheet. There's 2 listed, so either Ms. Settle or Mr. Whitaker would go off.
Would be, yes.
And
And
you have it
according
right
to
about-
the ordinance, I think that we have the staggered members are by ordinance. So I
Right.
think we have the number of members, they just want you to remove them all.
Yes.
So if an alderman goes off, the board will be full. Okay. Well, who wants to go off? Okay.
I'm not even on it.
Well, Whitaker is the one who's go off.
Makes no difference to me.
Get your feet wet, I'll go off.
Okay, that's fine. Happy to do that.
Okay, the meetings have been appointed. I don't think there's a motion.
Make a motion to approve the committees, appointments, committees and boards, with the ability to place these additional people on a later date.
It's on the airport board.
Yes.
Second the motion.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. Call for a vote. Doug?
Yes, sir.
Philip?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, those appointments are approved. Okay. This time, I would like to discuss the request that I made at the last council meeting, that we approve a period of time for the citizens of Salem to speak to the Board of Aldermen. And I have discussed that with various people in various towns, and there's all kinds of different ways of doing that. But in your packet, there is a description of the way that would be handled. And rather than to read through all that, basically what it amounts to is anyone that wishes to address the city council, when they would come to the meeting prior to 7 o'clock, we have in this particular format there that they would sign cards, which cards would be fine, or they could sign a sheet of paper. They would be limited to speak on 3 different items, and their allotted amount of time would be 3 minutes, unless the moderator of the board deemed more time was necessary. And so that would be assumption of whether or not the topic was covered adequately. There would be no pointing fingers at any particular board member. No one would shout at the alderman or scream at the mayor. It would have to be handled with moderation and decorum. If that failed to be a part of their presentation, if I was moderating the meeting, I would ask them to please be seated. And if they didn't want to be seated, our police chief has one bullet, and maybe he could use it wisely. But anyway, it's not intended to be anything other than for the public service, for the good of the community, if people have anything they wish to comment. And I'm sure that people will have complaints, and that's what you get most of the time in public service. But I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to hear their concerns and complaints and to address them to the best of our ability. I think that this list of procedures and protocols should be posted in the back that people could read, that was the format they were to follow if they did wish to address the city council. Every city in our area does this. I don't know of a city that does not allow public comment. And I think it's something that we need to do, and I would appreciate the board's support on that. So I would call for a motion one way or the other.
I'll make a motion for discussion. Don't we already have a hearings of persons? That is the form that allows the...
You don't have a
Oh, I don't have a second, excuse me. So, okay. Don't we already have a hearing of persons that is on every agenda that allows anybody and everybody to come and speak to the board, as long as they're on the agenda by the Thursday before the meeting? Wednesday before the
Wednesday
meeting.
5, according to your policy that was done June 20, 2011.
However, if there was a pressing issue, the board can vote to amend the agenda if someone needed to speak that evening very easily.
But if an individual has a specific problem that needs to be dealt with immediately, can't they go directly to the administrative office and to our city administrator without having to wait for the board meeting to come up and present their problem? Yes, no?
Well, I'm sure they can, but the city council and the county commission should be open to public discussion. I think that's it gives the citizens of Salem the opportunity to come in and I mean, yeah, they can get on the agenda, but there's barriers to do that. And you know, I just think that I see no reason why the public should not be allowed to participate in public meetings. I think that that's a service that we need to offer our community. Every Rollins, Steelville, the St. James, Cuba, every town in our district or area does it. And I've heard a lot of people complain about the policy that we have.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
Sure.
The hearing of persons on this agenda is for somebody that wants to come in and specifically speak at a certain item that the board needs to vote on and discuss. That is because you have to let the public know what is on your agenda to discuss and that you possibly might vote on. What I think you're discussing is something that's not on the agenda and you cannot discuss it because the public is not made aware of it. Is that what you're saying? cannot discuss it, it's
They
just for
can,
them to air their.
actually, they could, if they, probably what they need to do, if they want to discuss an agenda item, see, if the public gets on the agenda by the normal procedure that we have now, they have to be on it by 5 o'clock Wednesday. They're on the hearing of persons, that's the first part of the agenda. However, they do not talk about agenda items as far as what's on the agenda of the Board of Aldermen. That's not, I mean, they might choose to do so, but they wouldn't necessarily address an agenda item until that item came up. The way Rolla does it, if you come and you want to actually address an agenda item on that's going to be commented on the night of the meeting, then you can sign a sheet that says that when that agenda is being discussed that you want to comment. And they have some of that. Then, of course, they just have public comment afterwards, and that's just people offering ideas or suggestions or whatever. I mean, it's a good way to get public input, and I feel very strongly about that.
I would like to, as a member of the Board of Aldermen, I'd like to speak to some of these cities that have this in place at this point, to see what kind of effect it's having on the outcome of the meeting. Our job as a Board of Aldermen is to set these meetings and make business decisions for the city. And I think that I could see some problems with this turning into a gripe session if things were let out of hand. What I would like to do is talk to some of these cities that you say that have got this and see what the results are that they have and the total outcome of having these type of meetings.
Well, I have no problem with postponing it. You talk to whoever you want to. I was county commissioner for nearly 10 years. Our meetings were always open and to the public, and to my knowledge, we never had a problem, ever. I think it was very effective, and it's a good way to do business, and isolating ourselves from the community is I don't think is a good policy. And so I do not mind to postpone it. I will tell you that I will address it at the meeting until I get back.
Okay, I ask this to withdraw my motion on this and postpone this until we're able to do some more research with some different cities.
The motion is to approve for discussion. So I'm going to need to
You have to vote on it.
vote on this.
Yeah.
So we got to vote on the discussion and just have it first.
On the motion.
I didn't hear a word anyone said.
You have a motion on the floor to approve the policy for discussion, and we need to call for the vote.
Okay. We will call for a vote. We've got a motion to postpone it. Is that what it
Or
is?
approve.
Well, actually, I got a motion to approve, going on for discussion. A negative vote would mean you're not going to do anything tonight. A positive vote will approve the policy you're requesting.
So, do we have a second?
Ryan did second.
So we'll call for a vote. Doug?
No.
Brian?
No.
Molly?
No.
Bill?
No.
One second.
It means your request is denied, and apparently they're going to look into
We're
it.
going to we're going to do some research into some of these, if you've got a list of some of these towns that you've talked to, that have given you the positive input on this. I'd like to have the board.
If you'll give me that list also, I'll make contact with the city attorneys for each of those respective cities.
We can do that without a motion, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
I contacted a lot of my cities and I gave Ray their,
You can forward that.
Yeah, if you give me those towns, so I can contact the city attorneys. That way you get the mayor's perspective from each of those, as well as city attorney's perspective.
Okay. I suppose we have closed session contracts now.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
For what purpose?
Just a minute.
For the purpose of contracts. Thank you.
Does that need to be with closed vote or anything like that, or will we vote when we come back out?
You can vote in it, you just have to report it out. I mean,
Oh,
the press has already been advised, it
Okay.
deals with a contract offering the rate.
Okay.
You're already aware of that.
Yes.
I made a
We'll give
motion.
you the vote.
Second.
Any discussion? Philip,
Yes.
Bud,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Okay. We will go into closed session.